Henry Ruggs III played wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2020 and part of 2021. He was selected 12th overall in the first round after 3 seasons at Alabama. On November 2, 2021, at 3:39 a.m. local time, his 2020 Corvette rear-ended a Toyota RAV4 on South Rainbow Boulevard in Las Vegas. The RAV4 caught fire, and although firefighters arrived within minutes and were able to extinguish the flames, the driver, 23-year-old Tina Tinter, died at the scene. The stretch of road had a posted speed limit of 45 miles per hour. Investigators determined that Ruggs was traveling 156 miles an hour 2.5 seconds before the crash and 127 miles an hour at the time of impact. Responding officers noted that Ruggs appeared to be impaired and transported him to University Medical Center. At the hospital, Ruggs' blood was taken and it was determined he had a blood alcohol content of 0.16%, roughly twice Nevada's legal limit. Later that evening, the Raiders released Ruggs. On May 10, 2023, he pleaded guilty to DUI resulting in death and misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter. On August 9, 2023, he received a 3 to 10-year state prison sentence and is parole eligible in 2026. On June 17, 2013, at around 3:25 a.m., a jogger found a body in an industrial lot off John Deach Boulevard in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. 9 days later, on June 26th, police arrested professional football player Aaron Hernandez for the crime. At that point, Hernandez was about to enter his 4th season as a member of the New England Patriots, even earning Pro Bowl honors in 2012. The deceased man's name was Odin Lloyd. Lloyd was dating the sister of the woman Hernandez was engaged to. Surveillance video from the night of the murder showed Hernandez with Lloyd. Phone records and a rented Nissan linked their movements. Detectives built a timeline from camera footage at Hernandez's home, texts between the two men, and car data that placed the rented Altima near the murder scene. When officers searched Hernandez's house, they recovered spent shell casings and documented cleanup attempts. Prosecutors charged him with first-degree murder. The trial began in 2015. The state produced over 400 pieces of evidence and called more than 130 witnesses during a 9-week trial. On April 15, 2015, the jury returned a guilty verdict. Judge E. Susan Garsh sentenced him to life without parole. In 2017, Hernandez was tried and acquitted for a double homicide that took place in Boston in July 2012. On April 19, 2017, Hernandez was found hanged in his jail cell. His death was ruled a suicide. Donte Stallworth was a first-round pick out of Tennessee in 2002. He would go on to play wide receiver for 6 different teams across a 10-year career. On March 14, 2009, at about 7 a.m. local time, Stallworth's truck struck pedestrian Mario Reyes on the MacArthur Causeway in Miami Beach. Officers documented signs of impairment at the scene. A later test measured his blood alcohol content at roughly 0.126%. The legal limit in the state of Florida is 0.08%. In June 2009, Stallworth pleaded guilty to DUI manslaughter. The court sentenced him to 30 days in jail, 2 years of house arrest, and 8 years of probation with additional license and monitoring conditions. A civil settlement with Reyes' family soon followed. The NFL suspended him for the entire 2009 season, and he was reinstated in February 2010. He would go on to play 3 more seasons in the NFL. The case remains a reference point in debate about plea agreements, sentencing ranges for DUI deaths, and league discipline. Ray Carruth played wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers from 1997 to 1999 after being selected in the first round. The Panthers selected Carruth after a 4-year college career at the University of Colorado that culminated in him earning first-team All-American honors in 1996. He had become the first active NFL player to be charged with murder. On November 16, 1999, at 12:31 a.m., Sharika Adams called 911, reporting that she had been shot. During the 911 call, she tells the dispatcher that while she was driving behind Carruth's car, he slowed down and another vehicle pulled up alongside hers and started shooting. She also told the dispatcher that she was 8 months pregnant. Doctors performed an emergency C-section to deliver her son, Chancellor Lee Adams. Chancellor was born with severe brain damage due to a lack of blood and oxygen. Sharika was taken off life support and passed away on December 14, 1999 at the age of 24. Carruth was arrested in November 1999 on charges that included conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. He was released after posting a $3 million bond with the condition that if either Sharika or Chancellor died, he would turn himself in. When Sharika was taken off life support, Carruth fled. The next day, he was found in West Tennessee hiding in the trunk of a car at a motel. In January 2001, a jury convicted Carruth of conspiracy to commit murder and related charges, though he was acquitted of first-degree murder. The court sentenced him to 18 to 24 years in prison. He was released in 2018 after serving nearly 19 years. Travis Rudolph would go undrafted in 2017 after starring at Florida State. He'd go on to sign with the New York Giants and play in 7 games that season. He would bounce around NFL practice squads as well as CFL and XFL rosters for the rest of his career. On April 7, 2021, just after midnight, 4 men confronted Rudolph outside his family home in Lake Park, Florida. A fight moved towards the street. At one point, Rudolph retrieved a firearm and fired 39 shots as the men fled in a vehicle, killing 1 man and wounding another. Deputies arrested Rudolph and charged him with murder and related charges. He would claim the shooting was self-defense. His trial would begin in late May 2023. At trial, Rudolph's attorneys introduced evidence that his ex-girlfriend had sent text messages to 2 of the men involved and told them to go, quote, shoot up Rudolph's home. Jurors reviewed surveillance clips, phone messages, and witness accounts about how the fight started and where the shots were fired. On June 7, 2023, the jury acquitted Rudolph on all counts. Jovan Belcher was an undersized linebacker who went undrafted out of the University of Maine in 2009, but would earn a starting linebacker position with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was in the middle of his 4th season with the team when he murdered his girlfriend, Cassandra Perkins. On November 30, 2012, Belcher and Perkins got into an argument after Belcher came home late from a concert. Belcher would leave for the night and return between 6:30 and 7 a.m. the next morning. Another argument ensued, and during this argument, Belcher would pull out a handgun and shoot Cassandra a total of 9 times. He then drove to Arrowhead Stadium, home of the Chiefs. When he got there, he exited his vehicle with a gun in hand. He saw General Manager Scott Pioli, who tried to persuade him to drop the gun. Moments later, head coach Romeo Crennel and linebacker coach Gary Gibbs arrived and joined the efforts to calm Belcher down. He thanked the men for all they had done for him and asked that they take care of his infant daughter. With the sounds of approaching police sirens growing louder, Belcher told the men, quote, I can't be here. He then knelt near a car and took his own life. On the night of November 10, 1999, 2 men posing as police took Ricky and Kevin Nettles from their Los Angeles car wash business. Their brothers were found dead the next day. On June 25, 2001, around midnight, Dennis Henderson was abducted in Los Angeles and killed. In October 2008, Murillo Ponce was killed, his body dumped in poppy fields in Lancaster, California. Years later, detectives tied the 3 murders to Anthony Smith, a former Raiders defensive end and 1990 first-round pick who had played through 1997. In March of 2011, Smith was charged with the murder of Ponce. In April, the jury deadlocked 8-4 in favor of guilt. While awaiting a retrial, Smith was charged with the murders of the Nettles brothers and Henderson. Although prosecutors never specified the motives for the killings, they did produce many witnesses who testified against Smith. Smith's defense team tried to argue against the reliability of the evidence and witness testimonies after so many years, to no avail. In November 2015, the jury convicted Smith of the 3 murders, and he was given 3 consecutive life sentences without parole. He is currently an inmate at the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility. Dwayne Goodrich was a 2000 second-round pick out of Tennessee and played cornerback for Dallas from 2000 to 2002. On January 14, 2003, just after 2 a.m., Goodrich was driving north on I-35 East near Walnut Hill Lane in Dallas. At the same time, Good Samaritans were trying to free a driver from a burning car on the shoulder. Goodrich's BMW struck three of them at over 100 miles per hour. DeMont Matthews and Joseph Wood died at the scene, and another man was injured. Goodrich left the scene and later surrendered. Dallas County prosecutors charged him with 2 counts of criminally negligent homicide and 3 counts of failure to stop and render aid. The court found him guilty on all counts. He was given 7.5 years for each homicide count, which were to run concurrently, and an additional 5 years for failing to stop and render aid, for a total of 12.5 years. Goodrich served roughly 8 years in Huntsville State Prison and was paroled in 2011.